All right, everybody, it's time to go here. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of April 17th, 2025. We have a full house tonight. We have Denise, Kevin, Roger, Alec, and myself. And as always, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, right off the top, we have the reappointment of Mark Sweeney to the Board of Registrars. I don't think he's here. But there's a letter from the Norton Town Republican Committee to appoint him on their behalf. So I'll take a motion or any questions.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we appoint Mark Sweeney to the Board of Registrars.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, next up we have the minutes for February 13th, executive session, February 27th, and March 13th. Does everyone have a chance to look at these?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of our executive session on February 13th.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the Select Board meeting on February 27th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, sorry, no, opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the Select Board meeting on March 13th.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Excellent. We don't have any licenses and permits. Are there any announcements?
I have one announcement.
Okay.
Just a reminder to everyone that this Saturday is Election Day.
Nope.
No, I mean, next Saturday, I'm sorry. The next Saturday, the 26th is Election Day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. here at Town Hall, so please come out and vote.
We also have.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
and if for any reason you can't make it on that day, there are absentee ballots available at the town clerk's office.
When are those ballots available until, Mike, do you know?
I don't, but I'll ask you.
Okay.
I
don't
have,
think they're available up until Friday, but I know there's a cutoff date. So let's find that out.
I have one other announcement, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
That the Wreaths Across America National Education Trailer will be at Norton Middle School this Saturday from, I believe it's 10 to 1. So everyone is welcome to come down and learn all about the Wreaths Across America program. For the last 6 years, Norton has taken part in Wreaths Across America, where in December, there's a ceremony that goes on at the Center Cemetery, Common Cemetery, and there's a wreath laid on every service member's grave in the town. So if you want to learn more about that, this Saturday at the middle school.
Okay, excellent. Any further announcements? Okay, on to new business. First up, we have a discussion and or vote to support repaving of King Philip Road. This was brought to my attention by one of the residents, Sherry Savoy, and I've been down that road a few times. It's horrible, to say the least. I'm sure anybody out here who's from that area knows that. So, does anybody, is Sherry here?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to come up and speak?
Yeah, may I present something to all of you?
If it's what you put in the email, I think we all have it in our...
No, it's a lot more than that.
Okay,
But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Thanks.
It keeps going. Here you are.
Thanks.
Sure. Do you have one more?
Oh, you need one more, absolutely. I have
If
you
you could just say your name and address, and then
Okay.
you're welcome to speak.
one. Alrighty. Well, my name is Sherry Savoy. I live at 115 King Philip Road.
in Norton. Okay, all right. So, hello, my name is Sherry Savoy, and I'm a resident of King Philip Road. I want to first thank you for allowing us to meet tonight. I would also like to thank the residents of King Philip Road who are here tonight, as well as by Zoom. You all support the mission that we so much need. I have proposed a package for your review on the behalf of the concerned citizens regarding repaving King Philip Road. In this package, you'll find a letter to both the Planning Board and the Highway Department. I dropped this petition off on 3/26 and found Jared at the Highway Department to be very helpful. But I haven't received a response from Paul at the Planning Board. I and another resident have reached out to him numerous times. I also emailed him on 4/9, but neither of us have received a response. Nick, have you received a response from him yet?
I spoke with him today, and he is here in person.
Okay, all right. So, there's also a fact sheet to what the, the next sheet of the deterioration of the road has created. Then you'll find a resident on our street who's my neighbor, who also presented her plot plan and indicating the road is listed as public. And there are 2 listings on the back of that plot plan that also state the frontage is also public. All the properties I researched between 2009 to present state the road frontage is considered public, even though some of the residents are being told this is a private road. Also included is a signed petition from everyone. I collected 70 signatures with that petition. I've also had Heat Paving give us their opinion with their best options to make it a safer, more productive street for everyone who needs to access it. They felt with the amount of asphalt that is already there, we should only need to do a top coat of 2 inches. They will also repair the unevenness as well as the deep holes, and they'll line up everyone's driveways so there are no gaps. So everything will be smooth to your driveways. We believe that our road has become increasingly dangerous to the residents and everyone that needs to travel in and out. The surface is continuously deteriorating to where just filling in the potholes is no longer an option. The pavement of this road has become unsafe to travel on, caused by unevenness and the enormous holes that are being created each and every week. This issue has a significant impact on the well-being of our community, not limited to the high cost of repair to our vehicles, and also the depreciation in the value of our homes. 20 years ago, the residents had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to tie into the public utilities. And we continue to pay our never-ending increase in taxes each and every year. We feel it's only fair that we have a beautiful road to live on. We feel because of these ongoing issues, our road requires immediate attention and action by our town. We kindly request that the town repave our road to ensure the residents a safer and more conducive lifestyle. We believe that this change will create a positive outcome for the residents and to those that need to access it. Again, thank you for taking the time to meet with us tonight. We are confident with your support, you will help us bring this road back.
Thank you very much. So what I'll do is, I know there's a lot of residents from that road. If anyone else would like to speak, you can come on up. Otherwise, we can discuss this as the board.
Could we at least do a show of hands of
Yeah, can I
residents
just
here
say something
today?
here? Can you hear me or no?
If you want to speak, you have to come up to the microphone. I'm sorry.
Hello, I'm Allison Norcus, 88 King Philip Road. I've called several times too and spoke to several different people. At this point, it's embarrassing having company over. It's to live in such a beautiful area and not be able to utilize it and take a baby in a carriage and walk, or without breaking your ankle, walking your dog, or it's a safety hazard at this point. Kids can't ride their bikes. It's it's awful. And then to pay the excise, and that first chunk of the street gets to see where their excise goes, or their taxes, and we walk out and see huge potholes and have damage on the cars. It's it's crumble into nothing. It's awful. I hope something can be done.
Thank you for your comments. All right, would anyone else like to come up? Put you on the spot? Come on up.
Good evening, my name is Denise Savoya. I live at 56 King Philip Road. One of the concerns that I have is a safety concern for my granddaughter. I'm her guardian, and she has to walk through that mess, which is dangerous. The water comes across the road, nice and level, like a nice little calm pond. The holes are deep. She can't see how deep they are, where she's stepping. She has to actually trespass onto other people's property to walk around it. And I'm concerned she's going to have an issue. She's going to fall down, break a leg, break a knee, break an ankle, break an elbow, an arm, bump her head. Because of this. So I think it's a big safety issue. I talked with the school bus transportation about having the bus come back down the road on King Philip Road, and to no avail was that going to happen. It's not safe to, they got every reason to not come down the road in their minds. And not to mention it's dark as a pocket. The only light is down at the end of the road, and she can't see. My granddaughter can't see where she's walking, and that's not fair to her. It causes her anxiety, and she just doesn't know what's going to happen every time she walks down the street if she can't see the potholes, for that matter. And then the other thing is I think people need to stop putting the leaves and the brush and the debris into the conservation area to stop the water from rising. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize.
I'm not trying to be an annoying neighbor, but you know what? My leaves get mowed up. And then all the brush from the swamp is brushing up against people's cars now. My car is a concern of mine. It's my daily driver. It's the only car I have, and it's an old one. So I'm not going to be happy when I have to replace a major component, and I go 5 miles an hour down the road. Got people coming up on me. I even one day had, I don't know who it was, I didn't recognize the person. I'm highly suspect that was a delivery person in a car. I'm turning into my driveway really slow. Not intentionally, but because I'm turning in my driveway. This car tried to pass me on the driver's side as I'm coming down the road, turning in. He came on my property to try to pass me because I was going too slow for him. And he came within 2 inches of just missing my car. If he had hit my car would have gone through my bay window. So, they speed down the road. The trucks.
So I'm not sure how they speed down that road. I've driven down that.
Well, you can come sit down
I've
in the
driven down it with my
driveway.
pickup truck, and it's still just, I hit the ceiling. And I'm going 5 miles an hour, so I understand that.
Well, you have the big FedEx trucks that think they're 4-wheelers or 18-wheelers, have all the wheels on the ground, they can get over anything. That it's just not vehicles, it's just not, residents. I think, when they can speed up, they speed up, it's a 20-mile-an-hour road.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
Could I say one?
Anyone else? Yeah, come on up.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Everybody here is from the neighborhood.
Hey,
I wanna
if
point that
anybody else
out.
would like to speak, come on up and we can
Could-
come line if there's anybody else.
Could we do a show of hands of who is here because
Sir,
of the...
we're gonna just make comments to the board for
Okay,
now.
very
okay?
good. All right, we'll do.
So just let us know your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Nick Adams from 65 King Philip Road. The reason that I'm here is that the plan on the town actually shows that there is a 40-foot wide road all the way down the road. So it's not like this is not possible to accept the road and pave the road. It's not a median problem, it's not any other thing. You'll find that the map shows that there's a 40-foot wide road from start to finish. I also want to mention that the Lincoln family was very kind when they set Lincoln Woods aside for conservation. They gave it to the town. And also, the Lincoln family gave, I understand, they gave or sold, I don't know, the land which was available for the town to build the wells. So on both sides of this area, the town has benefited. And now I think it's time for the town to do something to fix that road, which has been an ongoing issue. And even if it's expensive, even if it needs to be, restructured from start to finish, and I would love to see us start with a quality survey so that we can determine, is the land actually owned, every square foot by them, and can we build a road properly where the land already is set aside. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Penny Hyder. I live at 41 King Philip. This has been an ongoing thing I've been in that house that I lived in for 35 years. That street is a nightmare. And she was mentioning the cars speeding down that. I have called the schools over the school buses driving fast down that road. Now, that has nothing to do with potholes. However, I don't know anyone that lives on that street that hasn't screwed up their car because of the potholes. It's ridiculous, it's dangerous, you cannot get two cars, it's bad enough trying to get two cars, and I don't know whether they're talking 40 feet. There's not a place over there that's 40 feet wide. And anyone knows that. We're lucky if we get 20 feet, and we're lucky if we can fit two cars side by side. The point is, the street's a mess. And I am up here to invite every one of you guys to take your car, and preferably the better car that you own, and drive King Philip.
Every
A couple of times. Go down that road, and I'll bet the speed limit's 20 miles an hour, and I want to see you do 20 on that street. Because if you do 20 on that street, you are dropping parts off your vehicle. And we all know that.
All right, do we have anyone else? Okay. Okay, you can come up briefly.
Sorry, there's a lot on my list. The add-on I want to say is in reference to my granddaughter walking down the street with the puddles. They're going and they're splashing her, totally covering her with water. Not sure who it is. Who knows who it is? I don't know. But she wanted me to tell you that.
Well, that's gonna happen with those craters in the road, so yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, that's where the water's coming up and crossing the road, No, that's not unfortunate. I grew up on that road.
No, I mean, it's unfortunate, the condition of the road.
Correct, thanks. I appreciate the correction. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone further? All right, so let's discuss this. I think that the contention is whether the road was accepted by the town or not, and we as a select board, just for everybody's knowledge, we can't accept it as a select board. It would have to go to town meeting to be accepted. But the contingent, hang on just one second, okay? I think that's a contention, so anybody have any questions here? You want to start with?
Can you share?
Yeah.
Could I just ask Mike to give us the history of that town?
So, in May of the town meeting, May 15th of 1995, town meeting voted to file special legislation to accept a series of streets in town. That special legislation was approved in August of 1995. And in that legislation, it stated that there had to be a process that would go through the planning board to the selectmen at the time, and the board of selectmen would have the final say on which of those streets were accepted. And at a select board meeting of February 5th, 1998, the select board voted to accept 700 feet from Bay Road down King Philip as a public way.
Can I say
Who owned
something?
the remainder of that?
It's a private way, so the titles would say whether the owners owned to the middle of the road or not, but the town took the first 700 feet of the road.
What's the total length of the road?
It's at 4,000.
Just on the
I
floor.
think it's
I
4,000.
know on the list at the select board meeting in the minutes from February 5th, 1998, it listed it as 4,000, and they crossed out 4,000 and accepted 700 feet.
So Mike, if the board was so inclined to have the intention of accepting the rest of the road, it would have to go to town meeting through the planning board process?
It would have to go through the planning board
Town meeting?
and then to town meeting. Well, planning board, it would have to go from the planning board back to you and then to town meeting. Planning board would have to vote on it and give you a recommendation, and then it would be up to you to decide if the town wanted to accept it and bring it to town meeting.
Can we ask, is Paul here? Do you just have-
All here.
Do we know why this wasn't put on an agenda when it was brought to the planning board? As far as paving it or?
That's on me, and my apologies. It's just with the town meeting warrants, 6 or 7 special permits. But fortunately, now that the planning board's taken action on a couple of the warrant articles, my time is freeing up, so I'll be getting on that immediately. Okay. We can get it on the next agenda, just May 6th, which we wouldn't have actually been able to schedule with everything we had, so. But we'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is just my personal view, this is a major issue for this town. The road is horrendous, and it makes Norton look bad.
Just yeah, just one more, maybe matter of, from a public safety standpoint, we have a police, fire, ambulance going down that road if needed, if and when needed. And just from that standpoint, I've been up and down that road literally my whole life, and this is the worst I've ever seen it. So, in my opinion, there needs to be something done from a repair standpoint immediately. And, before this is a timeline for planning and back to us, then the town meeting. These people need it really immediately. So with that being said, this would be falling the public safety bucket of a emergency repair. So, that's my inclination is to, whatever process it needs to be, have highway do whatever they need to do, or you know, maybe do we consider this proposal from HEAP from a, you know, a repair standpoint? I read the proposal, and this is not a bad amount for that much work to repair that with a 2-inch top coat.
For 3,300 feet.
These specs on this are inclusive.
Through your chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw the quote, and, whoops, and I agree it doesn't look bad, but, there's a but. We don't know if that road meets the current code, if we have any takings that need to be part of that. If that estimate meets the code, I'd like to know if Jared's seen it and what his thoughts are as well, right? And so, I think I have more questions than I have answers to be able to vote on this tonight. So I do think it has to kind of go through the process. I know that there's urgency to it, but it's not like it happened yesterday, right? It's not like it was a new issue that just all of a sudden occurred. This has been ongoing for years. I think we should do some diligence to understand what the true cost is going to be and what the true impact is going to be. And I'd love to hear from Jared to hear his thoughts as well.
So the other question I had, and we'll have Jared come up in 1 second. The other question I had was, how far down does the sewer go there? Do we know?
All the way down.
All the way down the end. So the sewer goes all the way down to 4,000 feet?
Yes.
So the sewer goes all the way down there. Buses go all the way down there, school buses go all the way down there.
No, they
So
don't,
at this
just
point-
like they didn't.
Do the buses? Yeah, they do.
No, they don't go past that.
LG does.
They turn around and then there's some kids down there. That's right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Rich.
I think from this standpoint now, the board wants to consider an emergency repair as opposed to a full reconstruction of that road. To fully reconstruct that road with drainage and everything else is not going to be something that anybody at town meeting is going to want to vote for. Period.
No, and that's going to be, some of the projects like that will be well beyond these quotes, I understand that, but I understand. Can we have Jared?
Emergency repair would be if something happened, like a bomb fell yesterday and the road was disrupted, right? This has been ongoing since at least 1995 or whatever it was, these dates are, right? So this isn't a new issue. And I
No, it's a
understand-
new issue to the select board at this point.
I understand that, I understand that.
Can I say something?
So 1 second, I'm going to have Jared come up,
Okay.
if you don't mind, Jared, to put you on the spot. Jared, I'm assuming you've been down there and you've
Yes,
seen it.
oh yeah, since I've worked here. I don't know where you'd like me to start. I agree that that road is in disrepair. It's actually a burden for us to maintain. Every time we go out and do potholes, we save at least a ton or a ton and a half of asphalt just for that road. As far as it getting progressively worse, I think it has, just with age and obviously with the past 23 with the high water table, it caused a lot of problem with other roads and drainage in general. I don't know if there's any specific areas you want me to address.
Do you guys plow that road?
We do plow that road because we plow a lot of other private ways as well, only to keep them open for emergency vehicles to make them passable. We might not spend as much time or get them down the pavement perfectly. There's a few other things that came to mind with all the questions, but honestly, I can't there's a lot to unpack. As far as the quote, we'll start there, that I saw, the figures that we would use for our contractors, who probably are, not probably, they are prevailing wage, we're actually surprisingly close to that quote, a little more, maybe about $20,000 more. Obviously, I didn't have them come out, I know their figures, and I calculated it myself. I am hesitant to say that's a worthwhile expenditure of money. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's an emergency, it probably should be repaired. It is a Band-Aid, it's maybe not for me to decide, but it's an expensive Band-Aid because someone had mentioned they had seen water flowing over that road in the past. I have as well. The water table can get high in that area. There's areas of the road, at least 2 areas that I know that are very low. So if you have a poor base for the road, and I know they said, someone had mentioned there's, I think it was HEAP's opinion that there was a decent amount of asphalt there to begin with. I don't think there's more than 2 to 3 inches. It's already in poor shape. We resurface roads. We don't personally. Our contractors resurface roads by usually doing an 1.5 to 2 inch mill, and then they do a surface coat. If you do that, you're going to take out most of what's there for I would say a poor base, and then put another 2 inches on top of it. It might hold. It's definitely better than what's there, obviously. But It just doesn't seem like the proper, if you're gonna spend the money, a better reconstruction. In that case, though, now you have drainage, elevations would have to be changed, probably a full depth where you'd bring in material, to build up that roadway. I don't know how much that would cost. It'd be astronomically more than.
Yeah, there's a second proposal here for 140, I think, that includes all that.
The one, the 140 is the one I'm referring to. That was only in 10,000
Oh, I'm
square
sorry,
feet.
yeah, okay, I'm looking at some of that.
Yeah.
Denise, did you have questions?
I was just gonna say, I'd be interested to understand what the cost of the correct fix for long-term would be, because otherwise we're gonna spend $100,000, $120,000 now, and then be back here in a couple of years, looking to fix it properly then. So I'd love to know what that full cost would be.
And you have to figure on legal costs, because you're gonna have to have
Takings.
takings all the way along there. And also engineering design. So there are a lot of extra costs that will be added in there.
So, Mr. Chair.
And I'm not saying that it's not worth it, I just wanna do it right, rather than do it the wrong way, and be back here again in 2 years.
Mr. Marcy?
My question is to Mike and Jared. What can we do to help these people right now?
Yeah, I don't have a good prescription. I was hoping somebody here would. I was going to try to give maybe my perspective of what I think, one, what has been done and why. We can get into that, or if it's not relevant, that's fine. And just basically my opinion on the quote that I saw and, the math that I did. And just, seeing the condition of that road and the base material of that road and the low points. And, there's things I don't know about the acceptance process of the road, but I know in other circumstances, usually before a town accepts the road, it's brought up to spec. Maybe there's a situation where it can be done in reverse. I don't know enough about it. I would also like to help the people down there, and for no other reason, it definitely would help the town maintain that road if it was in better condition. So I'm not opposed to it, I just don't have a good solution with my knowledge.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Marcy?
I'm just looking at some of these other roads that were accepted at the same time. And some of these roads, there's no way that they're 40 feet wide and down in
Okay.
Reservoir Street.
Are they on the list, did the select board accept them, or is that just on the legislation, the town meeting article?
Well, in the minutes, the select board accepted all of them except for Home Street. Right?
Right.
So, yeah, they were all accepted.
So there's many streets on here that are narrower that don't seem like they're up to code as it would be, but we still maintain them, and they're probably somewhere on the schedule to be repaved.
A lot of the private roads that I know, the ones that usually, which roads are you referring to? Narrow roads you're saying that I maintain that are town accepted?
Yeah.
I can't think off the top of my head, but maybe.
How about Lacey Lane?
All the ones down the road.
Well, we maintain Farm and Lantern. They're also private. We maintain, there's a bylaw. I'm assuming that's what my predecessor followed. That's what I follow. It's just that you can fill with a suitable material holes. So basically, you can, if it's a gravel road, you can put gravel. I assume in King Philip sense, if it's asphalt, you patch with asphalt. And it basically allows us to go on private property to maintain it, but it specifically says no reconstruction, no construction, no resurfacing. It would have to be accepted, which again, I don't know enough about. I wouldn't be opposed to it, I just don't know the full process. Other than that it should be brought up to some sort of standard.
Any other questions for Jared?
Not for Jared.
So I know Mr. Kimball's here. He was actually on the select board when we went through this. My question, if you remember, would be, why did you only accept 700 feet and not the full?
Yeah, who's Carl?
Yeah, who is Carl?
Carl Jacobs.
Carl Jacobs.
How did I know Peter would know?
He was a highway superintendent at that time. So a brief history, the 95 votes we took on all these roads as a blanket was because we were doing sewerage in the Grove. And most of the streets, the dead-end streets in the Grove, even though they were paved and taken care of by the town, we weren't able to put sewerage on those streets until we accepted them as part of the process, because it was part of a grant process. So we had to make sure that those streets were properly accepted. Were they laid out properly? Were they the proper width? No, they were not. But we just did a blanket vote in order to get the sewerage put in. 700 feet of King Philip Road, as I recall, was because the width of that section was pretty much defined at that time. Even today, it looks that way. It was wide enough so that you could accept it. When you hit Samoset Street, the road becomes very narrow. There are two houses right there, right together, and you can go to the left, the old Beatty property to the left, and there's an island there, but that's very, very narrow. So we could logically accept the first 700 feet. We had no intention of ignoring the rest of it. It was just that that's all we could do in order to get the process started. What I don't understand, going back to the Grove and the sewerage, is, and I don't remember this, but we put sewerage in underneath that entire street. We repaved the entire street. Just beyond Samoset, there's a low area where it's probably some of the worst potholes they have. And that's because it floods often, the water comes back, you get frost underneath it, lifts it. The only way to fix that, we didn't want to do that in 95 or 98, was it has to be brought up. It has to be elevated. And so we couldn't do that. The road is deplorable, it's in terrible condition, something has to be done. I would caution you on the $140,000 quote, because Mike will tell you that we have to spend a certain amount of money under certain guidelines that the state sets up. I saw the $140,000 estimate. It seemed like it was very, very reasonable, and I think you should jump at it. But we just recently got in a little bit of trouble because we blacktopped a cemetery, and we didn't pay prevailing wages. So I don't know how that falls into it, and Mike may have a better answer to that than I do. But we have to be careful that 140 may not be the final number, that it may cost us more.
Yeah, anytime I look at a quote like that, I know it's gonna cost more, but my question to you also is, do you know what year they did put the sewer down, all the way down?
20 years ago?
About 1999. About 99.
Yeah, about 20.
2005.
2005, yep.
Just
Yeah, but it was
Frank,
about 20 years ago.
Okay.
But we didn't borrow. We borrowed all that money. These folks had to pay for it through betterments. We didn't go out I don't believe we had any grant money involved in that. We connected to the city of Taunton. We had to pay for that whole project all the way down past the lake and everything.
So,
But I don't know why we didn't. I guess my point would be that we've already paid it in my lifetime at least once when they did the sewer project. So obviously we've taken some responsibility for it, and we should be maintaining it.
I think having, this is my opinion, I think having put the sewer all the way down there, that, and then paving on top of it, that is basically claiming the road. I don't know why, and again, I don't know why if you're gonna put the sewer down the whole 4,000 feet, that it was only 700 accepted, but. And I understand your reasoning that it was the 40-foot wide.
It's not going to happen. 40 feet beyond Samoset is not going to
Yeah,
happen.
no, and I get that, but also you had said that you accepted roads that were under 40 feet.
Right,
So the reasoning for, I can't get my head around the reasoning for this one, but does anybody have any other questions?
I just don't think this road can possibly ever be brought up to spec. What kind
No.
of spec? It can never happen. So, the lower of the two quotes, the scope of the lowest one, that is probably most likely what you guys did in 98, what was approved after the sewer line was installed. And that was a 20-year life expectancy.
It was done in 2005. And again, you've got all the water in certain areas. You go beyond the curve,
Oh, yeah.
where Lincoln
It
Woods
goes
is,
up.
that's not as bad. The first 700 feet obviously aren't that bad.
Yeah, for
But that
every
centerpiece,
road,
something's got to get done. And as you're doing that, you have to bring the road up a bit. I think if you're going to do it, you need to bring that one section that floods, just raise it a bit. But then you got to be careful that you're not flooding the neighbors
The houses.
on the right side, because on the west side is pretty much wetlands. But the right side, you don't want to make it too high, where it kind of backs into their property either. So you gotta take a look at the whole thing. As far as using chapter money, chapter 90 funding, to get that thing done and doing it right, it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million, to do it right. I don't think the town's gonna be in any position to do that for a long time. So,
Bob, before you go, you said you paved it when you did the sewer system? What year was that?
2005. The water sewer department put in, obviously they put in the sewerage and they paved it when they were done. I don't recall if they paved the whole street or half the street or what they did, but they did pave it. They had to.
My opinion is once you put the sewer down there as a town, you're taking responsibility for it. That's my opinion.
Well, on top of, how many houses are on that street?
70
houses, and
at least 70.
what are we collecting the taxes on that street?
Lots.
Annually?
You have lots.
We've got some beautiful waterfront property out there. They're paying dearly for.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Steiner.
I want to come back to Alex's suggestion about some type of emergency paving. Can the town pave on an emergency basis a non-town road? And I'm not suggesting that it is a non-town road, but if that remaining 3,300 feet is considered a private way, can the town pave someone else's road?
But before Mr. Units answered, we did pave it once after the sewer was put in, but I get your question.
Yeah, I mean-
Your question.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Right. Yeah. I get that. That does make sense. I just wouldn't want to end up in a legal situation with anybody, the residents or the town, if we were to violate some type of private property situation.
Normally what the town would do is the highway would go down and put some gravel into fill potholes, but they wouldn't do a full paving.
Because it sounded like what Jared said, that would sort of constitute reconstruction and that would fall outside the scope of the bylaws. Is that right? Okay.
That would be quite a bit of gravel if we're going to fill up all those potholes.
And I'm with everybody. I've been down there. It's a mess.
So, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson.
so if the planning board is going to begin the process, Paul, I believe you said that we were going to of accepting the road. So at some point it will be ours. I go back to my question, what are we going to do to help these people? The town has to do something to help this situation. Until or when we accept this road, which the earliest it could be is at the next town meeting.
Mr. Chair.
We could make a motion for emergency repair, but go ahead, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah, I think we all want to help the folks down there, for sure. I think, I hate to say this, but I think anything that's going to require town meeting approval is going to be an uphill battle. So this is going to sound, I mean, it's my last select board meeting, so I can say whatever I want.
Can I say one more thing?
So could we, is there, would if we were to do an emergency paving of the road, would that have to go to town meeting? And is there any way of avoiding town meeting to do something like that?
Well, this is your last meeting.
Yes, that's right. It's a question.
You can't use Chapter 90 money on a private road, so Jared doesn't have that kind of money in his budget to go out and pave a road. And the planning board doesn't have to accept the road either.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think, just using an example, if a developer built a road and it wasn't up to standards, the planning board wouldn't accept it. They're not going to accept a road that's going to cost the town money. Now, if the people on that road wanted that road to be accepted, they would have to spend the money to bring that road up to the standards.
I'm a little confused on this because one, it was paved over by the town.
Right.
Didn't even last 20 years, when it was supposed to last 20 years. So it's been the way it is for at least, a decade, if not longer. So that or no?
The last 4 years.
The last 4 years. So it lasted 16 years when it should last 20. On top of it, we're plowing that road. We put sewer down it. Tell me you accepted the road without telling me you accepted the road.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
And that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, and
needs to
time's
be-
not on our side.
There
We
needs
don't
to
have
be
the
some
time.
sort of
Have it
repair
just get worse.
now.
At least a repair.
Going through the rest of the process. I don't believe, it's gonna take a while for it to go through the processes, John to do all what he has to do from a conservation standpoint and water and everything else. That's, the dynamics of that will never be compliant with current codes of any kind. So, there needs to be some sort of emergency repair, period. It needs to be found somewhere, some way, shape, or form. This can't be the first road. There's gotta be a solution.
So I have no problem with the town taking the road. If we do, it needs to be brought up to standards, right, by law. It's just, it's not like it's
But it will
an
never
option,
be
you
brought up.
decide not to do it.
It can't, it physically can't be brought up to standards.
And I think that's why it's still a private way today, right? That's why,
If you were gonna do that, town meeting members, other people in town,
to,
may say, well, okay, but are they gonna pay betterments, or are we gonna pay for their road upgrade? And that's issues that'll come out, when Arrowhead Village is, when their road, when they want that done over, and they're just gonna come to the select board and say, we want our road paved.
Yeah, well, that's,
as a private way as well.
That's
saying, yeah.
All right, so we had a couple people in the audience who just come on back up briefly. I think you were first, Miss.
Oh, that's okay.
That's all right, Penny can talk. Hey, again, Penny Hyder, 41 King Philip Road. As I said, I've been there a very long time. When we put the sewerage in, when the town came through for us and we finally got the sewerage, I was right there for it. We were desperate for that. It was disgusting. But at the time, each house, every 50 feet of a property paid a $16,000 betterment tax when that went by. When the sewer went by, we paid a big betterment on top of the average of $22,000 per home that it cost us to tie into that sewerage. So unfortunately at the time, Jim and I owned 2 houses over there. So add it up. We paid almost $80,000 for the privilege of having the sewerage go by our house instead of in the lake. Now, we have already done the betterment thing. We're gonna do it again? Come on, people. We have taken a beating over there. We've taken a beating for a long time. And as far as the plowing, I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm frustrated. So often the plows, the road was accepted, right to Eddie Bro's property. That's it. After that, you're done. As soon as you leave that first few, what it was, 700 feet, bam, you're hitting potholes. They couldn't even go along the side of that. Now, it's so dangerous over there. It's dangerous to pull out your yard. It's dangerous to come around the corner. If I had kids going on a school bus now, I just would never allow them, and those buses fly down King Philip, by the way. I would never allow them to take a bus off that street. That street is the most dangerous street in town. And if anyone can find another street that's worse than that, have at it. But we pay really high taxes. We have waterfront property. We love our properties, and it's, I'm not even going to say what I think we have to do. But something has to be done, and it's got to be done. And it can't be just a 2-inch slab on top of that. It's got to be a fix. I'm not saying 2 inches won't do it, but if you're going to do it, when you fill in those potholes, they come over, they throw some stuff in it, and they're gone. They don't even pat it down. I watch them. We watch them all the time.
It comes right back out.
It just pops right out. 2 days later, it's all over the street, and now your car's getting hit by it. Your windshield's getting hit by it. Have at it. Drive down there.
Thank you very much. We got a couple more people here. Come on up.
Okay, thank you. I just want to revisit, because I had the
Come up to the mic
estimates.
first.
Sherry Savoy, 115 King Philip Road. I had the estimates done, so I just want to go over the estimates with heat, and I think that's someone the town should talk to, because We were up to 197,000 to replace that road, a full replace. I didn't send you that one, okay? The 140 is the millings, okay? So we weren't going with brand new asphalt. It's the millings, it comes in a little cheaper to get it done the same way. Heap is a very good company, and I stand behind them 110%. They did my driveway. He actually spent, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours, walking the street with me and Nick, going over the entire road and giving us his opinion on how to fix the road. I mean, there's a few different ways of fixing the road. When you say emergency, the problem is the asphalt that's going down into those holes are not, what do you say, Nick, emulsion? There's no glue holding that asphalt in those holes. So of course it's coming back out. So if you need an emergency fix, I suggest some glue go in those holes right now. I mean, for right now, seeing that doesn't look like we're getting it paved tomorrow. But again, I just wanted you guys to understand the estimates that I received from Heap. He was very thorough. They're a very good company, and they'll fix that road right. Now, whether or not you subcontract, I don't know how the highway department works, but Jared can talk to him about, you know, Ryan is very good. He could tell Nick and I everything about that road, even how it was put down and how much was put down. And he felt that that was down 20 years. He felt that road's been there for 20 years, so he was pretty close. And doing a 2-inch top coat, and yes, bringing it up is going to cost a lot more money to bring up those low areas, but maybe we could get some drainage in there somehow, but would hold it for another 20. I'll be dead in another 20. So I'm not going to worry what happens another 20 years after that. But I mean, he has a lot of good ideas, and he makes a lot of sense as far as that road right now. And I'm trying to save the town money. I think we all want to save the town money somewhere, because I know the residents, it's been a struggle for a very long time. They would like to get it done right, but I get the money part too, you know, at the same time.
For our purposes, since it's not officially a town road, we're looking at an emergency repair.
Right, which sounds great, Steve. That sounds great, yeah. But I mean, it's sad because, you know, you're hearing everyone talk that, and I don't understand why is it listed everywhere else as a public road? Why is it on people's plot plans as a 40-foot public road? These were engineers that designed those plot plans. Are they all wrong? So somewhere something went south somewhere. Somebody didn't sign something.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Something is confusing somewhere in here.
Yeah.
We had a couple more. Anybody who wants to talk, come on up and just stand up here. Go ahead, Peter.
Yes, Peter Wiggins, 157 Michigan Avenue, North Massachusetts end. I used to live up the street there on Bay Road, and King Philip Road reminds me of Lincoln Street when it was a dirt road back in the day until they repaved it back about 2001. And I agree with Paul that King Philip Road is the most dangerous road here in North, so something needs to be done about that. Thank you.
Mr. Kimball. So we're going to wrap up comments, so if anybody else has any comments, just come on up.
I think, and Mike can correct me on this, I think what we have to do, like we did in the Grove, is you can't accept a road, it has to be through a legislative act. That's how we did it when we did the Grove. They were non-conforming roads. So we had to get a legislative act passed in order to at least accept the road as it's built, so that we didn't have to expand and comply with all the regulations of Chapter 90.
Well, the legislation part is done, because King Philip was listed in the legislation.
So can we go back to that legislation and add the remaining 3,300 feet?
No, you don't have to do that. So the legislation was King Philip Road. The issue is that the select board on whether it was planning board's advice or the highway superintendent's advice, chose only to accept 700 feet at the time. So you already have the legislation. It's a
Awesome.
matter of, do you want to accept the remainder of that road?
So under that legislation, can we use Chapter 90 funding?
I don't think so, but
We should find out.
we'll check.
If the road has been accepted in its entirety, then why can't we use Chapter 90 funding as state funding that they give us to make the road repairs? We pay 25%, the state pays 75%.
All right,
We're just giving an idea, but we need to find out if that's available or not.
all right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, Karen, you want to say something else?
And I can say it right here, I just wanted to say, if it was accepted. If it was accepted, you could use the Chapter 90 money. That's the issue right now. In my defense, emulsion is a tack coat, and we do use it, and if, no, I know, I just want to, it's not, that's not going to save the potholes. If something does, more major has to be done. But yeah, if it was accepted, we could use Chapter 90 money. Until that portion isn't, I think it's a legal issue, you can't. But
Yeah.
just wanted to clear that up.
For those funds, yeah.
Jared,
Yeah.
can I ask,
Go ahead.
what can be done tomorrow?
There's not much I can think what could be done. We don't have the funds. All of our road resurfacing in town is Chapter 90 money. It's all state funded. There is no budget to repair roads. With that bylaw I was mentioning earlier, there's an item below it that allows money to be set aside for it, only within the criteria that I mentioned earlier, no reconstruction or construction. And as of right now, I don't know when it was initially done, it's about $1,000. So we use that $1,000 to buy the material for all the private roads, whether they're gravel to grade them or asphalt to patch them, including the tap road.
I'm just curious to know how much money, do you know how much money?
Well, hold on,
you spend
no.
patching?
Wait, miss, I'm sorry, you can't.
I know, sorry.
So, any other questions on the board for Jared?
Mike, where can we find some money so Jared can patch some of those craters out there?
The only way you can find money for that is to have a town meeting article and use stabilization money.
I do want to add, though, that I think it's beyond patching. I actually agree with the residents. I think
It's well beyond patching, yeah, but.
yeah, it would need to be, you're back to doing either, deciding whether you're going to do a Band-Aid in the sense where you're going to spend the 140, 190, they're all kind of close, I agree. But it's still, it doesn't address the drainage issues and the material below the road that, and I know they say full depth, but he's talking about going 4 to 8 inches down. I mean, in some areas that would help, but in the areas where it gets submerged in water, it's going to make no difference. It might help in the sense that you'll have less bad areas, you'll have more areas that are good, which is not a bad thing. Maybe it's worth it, but yeah.
All right, it's just, I'm super frustrated because we have an $81 million budget we're gonna review, and we can't come up with $100,000 to help these people. Okay, is John here? John, I didn't see him, sorry.
It's okay.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. John Thomas, Conservation Director. I just want to remind everybody that if you decide to dig up the road or do anything with it, we are in the floodplain, so you will need to come to Conservation. You will need to seek approval. It's going to cost engineering. It's going to cost a lot of money probably to do any of that. And 4,000 linear feet of roadway, or is that what we're accepting?
3,300.
Yeah, so while I'm saying the other 700, we may want to evaluate that too to see if that is in kind of any disrepair. Majority of that whole entire road is in the floodplain. It's also within an area of critical environmental concern. There are limitations to what we can do out there. So we're kind of strapped from kind of what we potentially could do for mitigation. So we're going to have to hire an engineer if we're going to get serious with this, just to let you know.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah.
John, with an emergency repair, any of these options, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, with this, all we need to make sure is that whatever's being put down meets existing conditions. So that means any areas where we're going to be digging, we need to make sure that it meets the current conditions where it is currently. And, I have the ability through the Conservation Commission to review that, be out there when they're physically doing the work. I just need to notify the board and let them know that this is an emergency repair.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Discussion? Questions?
I don't know what
I think we have to do an emergency.
There's nothing in the budget for any kind of emergencies like this? Outside of Chapter 90?
Not with, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not without town meeting, because theoretically you could get stabilization, but in order to access stabilization, you have to go to town meeting.
FinCom reserve?
Maybe we,
FinCom reserve only has $20,000.
unfortunately, maybe what we have to do is find out first if there's Chapter 90 funds available, or if we accept it, before we accept it, have the answer to that question. Then it would have to go to town meeting, but at least if it goes to town meeting, 75% of it's being covered by Chapter 90 funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we use Chapter 90 funds, it doesn't need to be brought up to code, and then alternatively, be able to say it's an emergency, let's do it now. Can you legally do that? Or there needs to be a declared emergency before you can use emergency as your rationale for.
Well, personally, to me, I think it's a life and safety issue with ambulances, fire trucks getting down that road. It's atrocious. I'm running out of vocabulary.
Mr. Chair, Mike, you might not know the answer to this, but does the state have any other emergency programs, anything that we can try to tap into for this?
Not other than trying to get a grant. I think your first thing is correct to talk to legal counsel and see if we accept this road based on that legislation that was passed in 1995, then are we eligible for Chapter 90 money for work?
Yeah. I think the only, I would say that the only other thing that we could do, and this is easy for me to say because I won't be on the board anymore, is we did this, I think, for Barrows Court as well, is that you expedite it as much as possible by having it as a standing item on the agenda, and it gets addressed every time we have a select board meeting. Whether it's just to say no updates, that's fine, but you just make sure it stays in front of the board, keeps in the attention of the board, so that as these things are moving through, we're moving them through as quickly as possible. That said, I don't know if there's any way to address this without going to town meeting. So the folks who live on King Philip Road are going to have to make a case. Make this case, because this is a good case, but make this case, you're going to have to make it at town meeting.
And make sure you go to town meeting.
Which I realize is not a solution for right now. I get it. I mean, I want there to be a solution for right now, but I think we're all struggling to find a solution for right now. And Alex's suggestion is a good one. You know, can we make it an emergency, or can we declare it an emergency situation? It's a public safety problem? Can we do all that? I just don't know what recourse we have to get the money to do it.
So Kevin, you actually took some words right out of my brain. I was going to put this on the next agenda, and hopefully I'll be back after the election, but I want to talk to the state legislature. I talked to Mike and to Steve Howard and to even Feeney, as well as talking to legal counsel to see if there's anything we can do emergency-wise. That way we can come back to the table with anything, maybe present an option. Because right now it looks like it's not going to go before town meeting until the fall, which could mean, you know, if it passes there, hopefully, then you're not going to see any paving probably until the following spring at best. So to me, that's a concern going through another winter with that condition. So I personally, I'll take lead on this and personally work on it. And we'll have an update for the next meeting.
I don't think the issue is that none of us want to see it done. We just want to make sure it's done legally and correctly. So that's what we're trying to figure out the best way to do that.
I want to see if there's any way to expedite an emergency legally and do it the right way without any issues. I agree with that.
Right.
So I'm sorry we don't have an answer tonight for you, but I think everybody here, we're all in unison. We're going to work on this.
So, Mr. Chair, can I make a motion to put this on the agenda for
Absolutely.
the next meeting? Also, well, I guess that's all we can do for now, but to move this agenda item to the next meeting, so make a motion to.
Can we move to refer it to planning board as well, as far as the adding the road? Or, let's hold off until next meeting, just because I want to see about adding this, since we only added 700 feet last time. So, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so just to reiterate, I'll make a motion to add this agenda item, discussion and/or vote to support repaving King Philip Road to the agenda for the next select board meeting.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Can I say something
Yeah,
else?
one more quick question. Jared, have we used all your pothole repair asphalt? You've used it from this winter? It's allocated for other roads?
Are you talking about chapter 90 or the smaller?
Whatever you
Yeah,
want
we
to
have
call it.
a budget for materials, road materials that we use to buy, gravel, pipe, everything. Then we have that $1,000 for private roads, and then we have the allotment of the state money. The state money, I'm in the process right now, meeting with the contractor. I kind of rank order the roads for condition. If you were asking, I think, would there be chapter money available? If we know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, then obviously I would plan accordingly, maybe not use, I usually try to use around 3/4 of it and then, kind of bank a little bit. So maybe I would pave two less roads, say. And then if this was to move forward, you could use that money for it.
Is there anything, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you were getting, is there anything left over from fiscal year 2025 that we could do?
He's talking about, I would have to use the money that's in my budget. It would be the road materials. It's only about $30,000. We probably spent we're almost right on mark with everything, so we spent about 3/4 of it. Same with that $1,000, so nowhere near enough to do anything substantial. I mean, as far as you were asking what can we do in the meantime, it's continuing to patch it. They do blow out. They're going to blow out with or without emulsion, with or without, and they do compact all the holes, and if they don't, I'll find out. But there's nothing that's going to keep those holes in there.
It's been rainy too, and that's when it gets a lot worse quickly. It's starting to get dry around, so.
It'll hold, better.
I just, if there's any solution moving forward for some sort of relief for these people.
Yeah, let us know,
I mean,
and we'll bring it up at the next meeting too.
The only thing I can think of is more, if there is more money in those funds, so that way I can continue to do the things I'm currently doing, maintenance and new, additions to the drainage systems and things like that, but still have a portion where I could get down there more often. Time and manpower is also an issue. I don't always want to have that reoccurring thing pop up, but I mean, like I said, it's not an exaggeration. We don't go every day with asphalt, but every day we go with asphalt, we save a portion for King Philip and Charlotte Ave, the second half of Charlotte Ave. There's problem areas that we haven't paved yet. We focus on them, but there's only so much you can do with the time and money allotted.
So it's part of your plan? Daily plan, weekly plan?
Weekly plan. I can open my agenda. I have a booklet. I keep track of all of it. You can see every time we go down there, who goes down there, and roughly how much material they use. But,
All right, thank you, Jack. Yep. So we have a motion in a second, but one more brief comment, I think. That's fine.
Allison, 88 Kingfield Road. I think we can all agree we don't have time. It's the worst that I've seen it since I've lived there in 15 years. It's crumbling, it's gonna be a sinkhole. It's super dangerous. Anything that can be done sooner rather than later, it's awful. Like, we just can't wait without something happening. It's just not working. It's awful.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson.
just one more quick question for Mike. Mike, if there was some other type of emergency in town, if it wasn't a road, would we just say that, no, we can't do anything?
If you have an emergency, that's what your stabilization fund is for. You go to town meeting, you'd have to have a special town meeting, and 2/3 of the voters at that meeting would have to vote to use stabilization money for an emergency repair.
We've had special town meetings for less.
I don't want to bring it up.
No,
Am I right? Yeah. But last year when we had the discussion on an override, the thing that I mentioned was if we had an override, all the free cash we had would be available for projects like this. But we
So
obviously
we
didn't
can
have
use free
that.
cash now for this?
So we obviously didn't have that, so we have to use the free cash to keep the town operating. And now, for emergencies, you'd have to use your stabilization fund.
But there's still, what's in free cash right now? There's still, we can use free cash, right? For an emergency?
We're using it for the budget.
So if we were to vote that this is an emergency, we could use free cash for that.
You couldn't use free cash. Town meeting would have to vote.
So that's what I was getting at, so it would still have to go to town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you made it sound like we could use the free cash, so that's why I brought that
We
up.
could budget free cash for projects through town meeting.
Yeah, and we didn't use all the free cash at the last town meeting, right?
No, we held free cash so we could have it for FY26 budget.
Right. Okay, so a long time ago, there was a motion and a second, unless there's any further, Kevin, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is going to, just one more question for Jared. I want to make him get up one more time. This is not a, and I'm not a construction guy, and I'm certainly not a road guy. Is there anything we can do for these for at least the potholes? Can we put steel plates over them? Or
The whole road it's all potholes. It's not even.
one of the reasons why the patching doesn't work is because a patch works well on a road when you have a nice area around it with a clean edge. Sometimes we'll even saw cut them in certain areas. You apply the emulsion. Sometimes you heat the heater, let the emulsion dry, asphalt compact, and sometimes you can even seal the edges with emulsion. Or we have rubberized crack sealing as well. It's impossible to do that on this road because there is no clean material around the hole to attach, to adhere to. Okay.
I wish we had some pictures to put up on here of it, because it's,
I'll bring them.
for anybody who hasn't been there, it's,
Yeah, take a ride.
I should have brought my thesaurus. Horrible. Okay, so there was a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It will be on our next agenda item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I did find out that as far as early voting, you can pull you can get your early voting papers through Friday the 25th at 12:30 p.m. and they have to be received by the town by Saturday at 5 p.m. the 26th. So during voting, they have to be received by then. I hope everybody got that. There's going to be a quiz later. Okay, next up we have a vote to declare the police department's 2012 International TerraStar SFA 4x2. We're still in a meeting, everybody. Ambulance as surplus.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Marcy.
I make a motion that we move the 2012 International TerraStar SFA 4x2 ambulance to surplus.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now we have to review and discuss or vote on the pilot regarding 12 Hill Street. Everyone had a chance to look at this? Do we have questions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marcy.
do we know how much that property would bring in taxes?
Hi, Denise Ellis, Director of Assessing. We would be bringing in somewhere around 40,000, but this is the solar farm, so technically it's a little confusing. We, state law does not say that we can actually bill solar companies. Most solar companies will come in, do a pilot program with the town, and that's how we collect the money. This company decided not to do that at the beginning, so what happens is we have to bill them and then we have to abate it. Because if we go to, many towns have gone to the ATB to fight the solar farms to build them. But unfortunately, we have lost. So for us to go to the ATB, we won't win, and it's going to cost the town a fortune. So what we've had to do over the years is build them and then abate them. So this way, if we do the pilot, it's taken me 8 years to get them to sign this pilot, then at least we're guaranteed a portion to come in every year.
That looks like 15,000 a year
Yeah, 15,000 a
for
year,
12 years.
which is in the ballpark of all our other pilots. Our pilots are anywhere between 10 and I think about 24,000 a year.
Mr. Chair. And Denise, this is because of state law with the clean energy,
Yeah, so this law was put back in, like when solar first came out, like the 70s or early 80s, whenever it came out. It was, at that point, you couldn't build solar companies. Solar was free. Nobody could build them. But that's when there was hardly anything around. But it's changed so much over the years, but unfortunately, the state has not changed with what's going on. So the association, the Assessors Association has been fighting it for years. And they did just pass a bill a few years ago, which I thought we could build them at full price at that time, but there's still too many questions, and we're still afraid that they're not going to, allow it to go through. So we've all decided just to do the pilot. I think even the company itself wasn't quite sure if they would win or not. So that's why I ended up doing the pilot. That answer your question? I'm sorry.
kind of sort of.
Okay.
It's state law that,
It's state law, yeah. It was state law at the point, at that time, yes.
that's the point.
That's where we're at, state law. Will we win at the ATV? It's a huge question, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
So every municipality, city, town,
Yeah, so
Has to
there's
follow
been
that.
many cases out there over the years, and we go and we lose. And the lawyer that we're using right now has actually done the ATV cases for solar, and we're just not winning. The state is so strict on it, because they want the green energy to come in, so trying to work with them, it's been difficult.
another thing that the cities and towns are paying, taxpayers are paying for.
Right, right. And most companies will work with you, but I don't know, at this point, when I first got here, they just didn't want to do it, so.
Through you, Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
A quick question, Denise. I see it's for 12 years. I thought typically these are for 10. Is 12?
No, so
something
solar
like-
pilots are different, they're for 20 years.
Okay.
But because they've already been in operation for, what do we have, 7 years, whatever it is, this is the leftover years that we're
Okay.
doing it for. I told them right up front, we're not doing it for 20, only what's left in that 20-year span.
Great, thanks for clarifying.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Marsay?
So what happens at the end of the 20 years? Do we try to get another one of these from them? Or?
No, 20 years, they pay regular price. It's only good for 20 years. All solar pilots are like that. Once the 20 years is up, just like a TIF, it's over. They just pay what the value is.
And how many pilots do we have?
We have I think we have about 4 or 5 right now. 4.
2.
This is the 5th one. This is our 5th one, but this one doesn't have a pilot yet. Hopefully we will.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Snyder?
because I like something instead of nothing, I would like to make a motion to vote to accept the pilot regarding 12 Hill Street.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thanks. Thank you, Denise. Oh, Mr. Evans.
I just want to thank Denise for all the work. I do know it's been going on for a number of years, and I want to thank Denise for all the work on getting this done.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks,
Thank you,
Denise.
Denise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, next up, we have the discussion, what is it? Discussion on the remote participation policy. I know we talked about this a while ago. This policy is just for the town boards, correct? That's the previous policy prior to 2020. And in a nutshell, I guess I'll kind of give the nuts and bolts of it, is that board members are allowed to participate remotely. Let's see. But it would require a vote of the board prior to. So say, Alec couldn't make it, but he had to be remote. When we open the meeting, we'd say Alec has to be remote. We'd vote, yea, nay, allow him to do it. I think we'd say yes. and that's it. So this would be just reverting back to the policy of 2019, prior to the craziness of 2020.
Through your chair.
Oh, absolutely, correct.
Do we want to keep the vote piece? Because I don't think we've been practicing that. Just want to keep it efficient.
Oh, to not vote, yeah, let's take that out. I mean, I'm okay taking that out.
Okay.
Let's see if what everybody else thinks, but.
We don't want to listen
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Snyder.
I think this has just become so commonplace now that, I know I've had to participate remotely. Everybody's busy. If we want to get more people involved in town government, this is, to me, is a pretty easy way to help do that. So
Yeah.
we've had all kinds of residents participate remotely too. So it opens up that option as well. So I think from a participation in public government, I think this is an easy one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've been practicing this anyways. All right, does anybody want to make a motion with any changes that Denise said?
I will make a motion to approve the remote participation policy, striking the portion requiring a vote to allow the remote participant prior to the meeting.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I just have a question as to whether this affects...
Just say your name and...
Yes, Julian Kadish. I've been on conservation for basically ever. And I'm wondering if this affects how a board operates if we choose to be remote and stay remote in accordance with the state guidelines.
This would, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Stevens, this would bring all boards back to in-person meetings, as they should be, in my opinion.
Can I make a comment about that?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I would ask a question of how many buggy whips and mechanical typewriters and adding machines the town of Norton has purchased in the last 30 years, and I'm sure you would tell me none. And that's because all of those items served a purpose in their day, but they were supplanted by more effective technology. And in this situation, I think if you vote that everyone has to participate in meetings only in person, particularly the public, that's a major disadvantage. There are people with child care obligations who can't necessarily come to town hall to participate, people with elder care obligations, people with transportation limitations, and people with mobility problems. And I would be concerned that you would then be limiting their access if they have to come in person.
Well, thank you for your comments. I can't say that we didn't mind any buggies or anything like that, but we did build a big, beautiful town hall with several meeting rooms, so. We have a motion and a second on the table. I'm gonna.
Just point of clarification, I might have misunderstood. I thought we were voting to allow remote participation, but you said that this was requiring everyone to be in person. So my
It's
misunderstanding.
requiring the boards to meet in person, but you're allowing remote participation for board members that can't make it for any circumstance, whether it's health or anything like that. So it's allowing it,
Okay,
but not completely remote.
gotcha.
Okay.
So you need a quorum in attendance.
Yeah.
In person, yeah.
Yeah, that's now anyways. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Now we have the discussion on hiring an interim town manager and the related process for doing so. Alec, I think you spoke with Joe Fair on this.
Yes, I did. So, yeah, he sent an email to all of us, correct? So, the hiring of an interim is solely, our board's decision and vote. And it's something that I think, the clock is ticking and we need to do something soon. We just had a selection committee meeting tonight. We've received several applications for some new applicants. And, it's our board's opinion that, June 30th is coming quick. And that's why this interim town manager portion, which is solely, our board's, the select board's decision. This needs to be talked about of how we're going to do it, advertise it, compensation, time frame, term, whole 9 yards. So.
I'm trying to pull up the email from Joe. Did Joe Farragut send the email to all of us?
Yeah.
He did. Did everybody get a chance to review that process?
It was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. Ooh. Wow, that's great. Okay. Any questions on what he put forth?
I think mostly what he was saying was that it's just all has to be at public meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, do we have any action that we want to take as far as, I guess, putting an ad out or discussing salary, or do we want to bring this at the next meeting?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Marson?
Mike, do you know if you'll be taking your vacation time, or if you're, I don't know if you can buy that back or what you, so we have a better idea of when we need to have that?
I'm not, I'll be around, I don't have any vacations planned.
Okay.
So yeah, that was I think what brought this up, is to see if, that there have been other people that took their vacations instead of staying on. So that's, I think, what kind of concerned me.
The process, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Where do we need to, who do we need to contact? Where do we need to advertise this? How do we find out, get applicants in, interview them, and ultimately hire somebody? What does that process look like?
So what we could do, and I was thinking about this earlier, is we could have 2 members of the board separately put together a package as far as, potential salary, potential places to potential ads, where to put them, and then bring it back to us to approve as a full board. And that was just the thought I had.
So with that, some of the details would be, which we could discuss in executive, would be compensation, term, time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main ones. An interim knows what they need to do. They sit in the chair and just make sure everything moves along.
So maybe 2.
So you're just asking about the interim right now?
Yes,
Just
just
the
interim.
So how long are you anticipating the need for an interim?
Our screening committee anticipates, June 30th is going to be quick. It's going to come real quick.
Right.
So there is going to be a gap period, somewhat hopefully shortly thereafter. Don't have an exact time frame, but we're hoping to put forth 3 to 5 candidates sometime, hopefully before that for our consideration for this board.
So those candidates would come to us, and then we would review each one, and then hope ideally select somebody, or kick it back to that board and say try again, essentially.
So this is what I'm confused. The candidates you're talking about that you're receiving are for this town manager position,
Correct.
not for the interim.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's what we want to talk about now is advertising and getting that.
I'm just trying to separate the two of them.
Yes.
So make sure I'm
This is
talking
just for interim, Denise.
So my suggestion would be to either, two people on the board, not Kevin and myself because of the election, but 2 of you put together a package that we want to discuss at our next meeting as far as compensation for an interim, this is strictly interim.
For the interim.
For the
Okay.
interim, and and maybe timeframe and, an ad, put together an ad.
Happy to volunteer?
Joe can provide all the
Yeah.
guidance for that.
I would volunteer for that as well.
So let's nominate them. Kevin?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Snyder?
I'd like to make a motion to have Denise and Roger engage in the research for the hiring of an interim town manager.
Perfectly put.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I do have one item, not reasonably anticipated. When I parked my truck, I was next to one of our town vehicles, one of the small electric vehicles, and all of them have inspection stickers from 2024. Are those vehicles used?
They are,
Are they used often?
yes.
Why aren't they inspected?
They were.
Because I would get a ticket if I didn't have them inspected.
Yeah, there's an issue with the tint on the windows that has to be removed before they can get the sticker.
Who print them out?
That's
Okay, not the answer I was I just thought they weren't being used. All right. Is it just those three, or is there more than? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now on to old business. We can skip over this, right?
Please.
Okay. Discuss the annual town and special town meeting articles.
So if you could, Mr. Chair, we have representatives here from the Water and Sewer Department, and they could talk on two articles that they have. One is for the water treatment facility infrastructure, and another one is for a water and sewer project on, which street, Frank? Elm, is it? Elm Street, that's.
So I know you're probably sick of talking about this, so you can be as brief as you'd like.
Just vote yes.
I will say, the Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend both Article 8 and 9 on the special town meeting.
The smaller article, 175,000, is for funds to do, for lack of better terms, maintenance at the water treatment facility. There's been some findings there. We had some pumps go down unexpectedly within, a very short period of time. So this is not something that was in the budget. I know that was asked for by the Finance Committee. The typical life expectancy of the pump based on the hours and the use that we have is usually 8 to 10 years. So we're rolling in at 4.5 to 5 years we got a pump failure.
Wow.
So the extra money that we're asking for here is going to get us back up to speed, pay for some of the emergency repairs that are definitely required, and we can't run without it. And this also includes improvements to the wells that feed this facility and some of the filter vessels that are also needing some upgrades. That is a maintenance item. We do not have a maintenance schedule. This is the first time that we're starting to get digging into these filter beds. We had some, to simplify it, some filter media come through the bottom of the filter, which is a bad sign. We brought in a specialist. We had the media removed, checked all the grates and everything in the bottom, found one crack in one vessel. The other one was fine. The problem we have with repairing these vessels to bring them back online is what we use for filtration is green sand. That's sitting on a barge somewhere out in the ocean, not able to come into port. We don't know when that's going to be available. We're hearing June, possibly July now, so we have 5 out of our 6 filters running right now. So we want this money to be available, ready to go the minute that's open to the ports to come in, because we're not the only ones in this same predicament. So we don't want to be lagging behind and always grasping to try and get what we need. So that's the one article that's in there for the maintenance, for lack of a better term.
Okay. So do we want to vote on this one first?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pumps that went bad after only half-life, do they not have a warranty?
They have prorated warranty on them. The pump that was in there is actually one of the backwash pumps. So we have 2 backwash pumps that we use to to basically clean out the filters after they've reached a certain pressure, remove the iron manganese, we discharge it to the drying beds. One of those failed. It has been replaced. That's part of what this is going to go to pay for. The next is going to be actually investigation. So where we have that one pump that failed, there was some deterioration on what's called the column pipe, which actually sits down into the wet well. It seems very premature to see that type of disintegration or fouling of the pipes, so we want to do an investigation to see what the condition of the others are. If the others are all in similar condition, unexpectedly, this number is going to rise. The next time you see me, I'll be asking for more money. That's not the goal. We want to get on to a maintenance schedule, so we're hoping that this is a fluke. This was, some bad pipe that was used, and we'll go from there. But these numbers are going higher and higher. Unfortunately, everybody knows about the tariffs. We're not exempt to them. Everything we do has some mixture of domestic and foreign.
One more follow-up question, sorry. If you find that the other pipes have the same issue, it would seem to indicate that there's something else going on. What else could be contributing to that condition?
The investigation will start at that point. We have other water quality samples that we've taken. Everything there is drinking water, so there is no corrosiveness to it. There is no hazardous materials to it. After speaking with the pump manufacturers, the first thing they came up with was changes in elevation in the wet well, where you have certain parts of it exposed to air, certain parts exposed to water. That theory makes good sense, except for the fact that the deterioration is also below the water level. So we are leading back to the possibility that there was some protective coating that may have been removed where the thread and couplings go together, and there was nothing put back on from the manufacturer. That's going to be hard to prove, but if we do some more investigation, we can see it on the other pumps and they all look similar, then we can push a little bit harder back to the manufacturer as a defect.
Great, thanks.
Frankie, when were they put online? When those?
These went online, these were all brand new when the treatment facility went online in 2020.
2020. There's no insurance that engineer or contractor carried for any of that?
No. Any pumps that fail, you get a prorated warranty on them based on the time that they're in there. Typically at the max we see maybe 15-20%. We run into this a lot with our wastewater pumps. You have a brand new pump, it has a 5-year warranty on it, it's a prorated warranty.
Everything's junk.
I have to agree.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marcy?
I make a motion that we recommend Article 8 on the special town meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
What was the second article, Mike? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
It's a brand new one.
6 million?
I don't have it, I don't know. That slips my mind. That is the modified version of Elm Street. I believe we might have a small presentation of that.
I was promised 4 slides.
It is 4 slides, and I can cut it to 2.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Well, it's whatever you need to understand what we're talking about here. So obviously, this is now the scaled-back version of the Elm Street project. I'm going to assume you're all familiar and remember a lot of the details of the Elm Street project. So we've stripped out all of the gravity sewer and the pump station, which was a significant chunk of the cost of the project. So what we're left with is the infrastructure we need to bring the improvements to 47 Elm Street, which was the impetus of the grant money that we received. So the project now includes 4,500 feet of water main improvements along the entire length of Elm Street, from Reservoir all the way to Main Street, and then 2,900 feet of force main sewer running from the property at 47 Elm Street to the existing sewers at the intersection of Fillmore Drive and Pine Street. So there's no more, as I said, no gravity sewer, no municipal pump station, and no residential connections along the way, which means no betterments to any of the properties along the way. The budgeted cost of this is now $6 million if approved. We need to do some quick redesign and get it back out to bid. So we had bids in hand for the larger project, but those have expired, and this project is significantly different. So, next slide. So just to understand the cost, when we say $6 million is the ask, when you look at the
anticipated construction costs now, it's about 67% of the cost is the water main, which is pretty much a flip of what it was before. It was pretty much 67-70% sewer before. So the actual anticipated construction cost is at 14 million. When you add in, the engineering, the biggest thing is the contingency that we're putting on this for the construction, public safety, engineering, and all that. That's how we get to the 5.5 to 6 million. So we're looking at a $6 million appropriation. As far as how it's being paid for, we still have the $3.5 million grant, which is now paying the majority of it. Because the majority of the work is water, we will still use some water from the Water Enterprise Fund. That's estimated at about $1 million. And then there will still be an assessment to the one property that is being provided with sewer, the property at 47 Elm Street. And at this time, we have that estimated at about 1.5 million. And those obviously are estimated because we don't know what the final number is. So that's how it breaks down. That's really where the questions would come. The next slide, Mike, is just the schedule. So if we can get authorization at special town meeting, this is it as far as the grant monies. If we don't, if we don't move forward with this project starting in June, we won't have time to build it and use the grant monies. So the intent would be to be out to bid in July and be done with construction by May of 2026. So the last slide is just the same things. If you go to the next one, Mike. Same issues. So we're providing sewer service and improved fire protection to what has been identified as the town's priority economic target area, that property. It will provide for an expanded tax base if we can provide the opportunity for that property to develop. And if we don't do it now, it becomes much less feasible to do this without the $3.5 million.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Snyder.
Thank you for the presentation. Just out of an abundance of caution, I think you misspoke and said 14 million for construction costs.
Did I?
And I know you meant 4.
Thank you.
But before that gets out on Facebook, I just want to make
It's
sure.
too late.
It's already up.
Too late.
$4 million, not 14. But thank you for the presentation.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson.
a couple of questions for Mike and Paul. We were told the last project, the previous project, that we had to have a special town meeting. Otherwise, we wouldn't have time to do the construction. Is this construction going to take less time?
I could answer that actually. So it's twofold. The bids, so we had already bid the project. So the project that we voted on was the larger project with the gravity sewer. That would have taken longer. The gravity sewer is deeper pipe. It would take longer. The pump station is more involved. So I guess the answer is the bids were going to expire. They did expire. We have to rebid it, but we do still have time for this scale back project.
And Mr. Chair?
Mr. Marson.
Mike, do we have any guarantee from the developer that they're going to build now that we didn't have before with the other sewer project?
We don't have any guarantee, no.
So just so we're clear, this project is to put in a forced main to that property without a guarantee of that builder going to build there. And who pays that bill if they decide not to build?
That bill would be paid by the town, and with the lien would be put on that property, but the town would pay the note until someone develops that property.
And my personal opinion, no one's going to develop it without it. So whether it's this person or the next person, it will be dead property without adding something.
So, if I recall, we were told by the builder that they didn't know if it was even going to be feasible to develop that property until after they took down the building and were able to drill under the building to test the soil. Is that correct?
I I don't remember her saying that. I just remember her saying that she couldn't get any financing and do any investigative work until she knew that sewer was going to be going to that property.
And that project hasn't changed in scope, has it?
Her project.
Has there been any word from that developer since the town meeting? Anybody?
I know Paul talked to her the night of town meeting and told her that we hoped that we could do something to move forward on this. So, I know that her deadline was June, the end of June, that she needed to have her financing all set up.
So I'm concerned because the feeling I got was that she was done at the end of the town meeting. So that's why I was wondering if there was any communication to say otherwise, that she was still involved.
Paul, did you set me? We did, and in fact, when the Finance Committee weighed in on this this week, I emailed her to let her know that was moving forward, that it received a positive recommendation. So we've had some communication with her, so she's aware that this is going.
Okay. Has she hinted that she's still going to be involved, or just, oh, good for you, you're getting sewer down there?
I haven't heard a response, but I haven't heard her stance hasn't changed. She hasn't said that they're stopping. They haven't pulled up stakes on it.
I mean, I could be incorrect. At town meeting, or even prior to that, this option was quoted at a lot less. Am I wrong? Do I remember like 4.5 or something like that? I don't have my notes from the meeting, so I don't know.
I think it was the same.
This has always been 6 million for this, yeah, and I don't think we never even got to discuss it at town meeting. It was gonna be if they attended.
Yeah, I know we were discussing prior to do like.
But at previous meetings, we've talked about this as a $6 million option.
Okay. Okay, I'm just getting senile, I guess.
And it's not 14.
Are you sure? Oh, I was gonna go for 14, so. All right, anyone else?
Is anybody representing a developer? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, this is a huge concern for me.
It's.
If I was developing this, if I was putting my money up.
I know I didn't even tell the developer you were talking about it.
I think
they knew it had gone to finance committee, so.
I mean, we talked to her after the town meeting. We would not. We told her we were done if she was done, and she said no, she's not done. She's still in the same position she was before.
And I think regardless of whether this developer develops, if we want to develop that property at some point, we need to do it. It's $1.5 million with the grant. We're going to lose the grant shortly, right? So either we do it and get some developer, hopefully her, but if not her, somebody else, or we don't develop it and decide we're going to do something else with the property entirely because it won't be able to be used by somebody else.
Mr. Chair, the developer was, the conversations were moving towards, they were trying to get the appropriate financing for it to be able to cover
Correct.
a betterment, which would offset negative impacts for the individual directly affected residents on Elm Street. And that is still in limbo. There's no definitive on that we've been made aware of. But that project, to me, was the best scenario for the town as a whole, because the developer would be, in essence, bearing the brunt of all of it, and all the residents on Elm Street would benefit from it. This, how it's presented, even though there's a $3.5 million grant, puts the rest of the remaining balance on the taxpayer, the Vermont taxpayer, out of the enterprise fund, and the betterment to 47 Elm, where nobody is. So we're not going to collect that. It will obviously keep a tally, and hopefully someday will satisfy that total. But the best chance it had was at town meeting, and it didn't pass there. There was not the presentation, in my opinion, that it should have been there. This
Yeah, I don't know.
doesn't satisfy my,
In my personal opinion, I think this is
It's
the
for
right
the
project from the beginning. This one here, Force Main versus the tie-ins. And I've said that all along.
You have to, you're
Every
very
single meeting.
consistent, yeah, absolutely.
For the need, for the current need of what we have there, this is the right project.
So, just so I understand, sorry, Mr. Chair. Just so I understand, so the $1 million will be coming from the enterprise fund,
Water.
the water enterprise fund.
Yeah, which is down from what it was before. what it
Right.
was.
And that's already money that they have.
Correct.
So that wouldn't be on the taxpayers.
It's the water users.
Yeah, the water users, right? Or it's already been paid by the water users.
Right.
And then $3.5 million for the grant. And then $1.5 million paid for by the developer. The developer can't move forward. My understanding was that the developer can't move forward with financing until they have approval from town meeting. So we can't expect the developer, we're putting the developer in a catch-22. You can't ask the developer to commit to something they don't have financing for, but they can't commit to the financing until we approve it at town meeting. So you're never going to be able to get them to commit 100% to something because they can't commit to it until we approve it.
Right.
So nothing in life is without risk. So is there the risk that there's the potential that she could walk away from this property? That risk is very low. She's already put a lot of money into this project already. Why would she walk away from it now after going through all this? I don't think that makes any sense to her. That would make no financial sense to her to do that. She wants to develop the property. So, and then we've had all these conversations about, well, we can't put the burden on the Elm Street residents. Can't have betterments. Too much. So we got together, we all said, well, if there was a way we could do this without putting it on the backs of the Elm Street residents, then that would be the best possible scenario. So we now have the best possible scenario. We're getting $3.5 million in a grant to pay to upgrade the town's infrastructure so that we can get rid of an eyesore and a danger. And now we're going to say no? That's absolutely ridiculous to me. Ridiculous. So I'll be voting yes on this.
All right, anyone else? All right, my concern on this personally is that, the total cost is $4 million. We're looking at between 5.5 and $6 million. So you're about $2 million of 50% of the project. An additional 50% for redesign contingency is astronomical to me. So I personally, I'm very confused at that total. Can we go through that a little bit more?
Contingency is contingency.
Yeah, contingency
We don't
usually
know-
isn't 50% of
Huh?
the project. The project is $4
No,
million.
no.
Contingency shouldn't be 50% of that.
No, the public, the police costs are 300,000, $500,000, those aren't cheap. The oversight during construction, the contingency is probably 10% of that, and then there's all the other auxiliary costs. There's a lot of costs that go into it. So those are pretty normal numbers, and we're not coming back. We need to have enough money to build this. We're in an uncertain climate on bidding. This is not the best time to bid a job, but it's the time that we have.
Glad you remember my last comments. I need to go back. Not you personally. My other question is, was the betterment, just please remind me, was it 1.5 to the 47 Elm Street with the big project when it was?
It was 1.75.
Okay, all right.
The range was 1.5 to 1.75.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to confirm that. Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Snyder.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Article 9, is it 9?
9.
Article 9 for the special town meeting.
That's right.
Yeah, recommend, you mean? Okay, to recommend.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay. Alright. Well, it's still gonna go to town meeting because FinCom recommended it, so.
What was the vote?
2 no. 2 yes, 3 no.
Thank you, guys.
The other article that Water has is Article 4, Water Enterprise Operating Budget. Frank, do you want to talk on that?
2026 or 2025?
2025. Special.
So in FY 2025 budget, we were actually asking for a special transfer of $10,065. This is to cover interest and short-term debt for monies that are being borrowed now. So the first payment is going to be due in June, which will be FY '25. So instead of increasing the actual budget by the amount that is going to be owed, we are actually dedicating money from a specific line item that's in there and having it transferred, allocated to pay the expenditure of this money.
Straightforward. Any questions, folks?
Finance Committee recommended 10-0.
Questions? No? All right, I'll take a motion. Article 4.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we recommend Article 4 to special town meeting.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
What do we have next?
Can I just ask Frank one thing? Frank, could you talk a little bit on the ACO, where we're at with that? The consent order that the town received from the EB?
You should have all received a copy of that with an explanation letter at some point, basically breaking down the one-sidedness of that document. So each infraction that you guys are all well aware of, any public notice or anything that's been sent out for manganese, PFAS, anything of that nature, is covered in the legal document with DEP and the town of Malone. Typically, this comes along with penalties when you have multiple infractions over a short period of time. The penalties for this were waived, knowing that we are proactively moving each and every subject that was listed in the ACO. Our biggest hurdle is actually going to be getting the required projects. These are not recommended, these will be required by Mass DEP with certain timeframes to get completed. There's going to be a cost associated with each of them. So we're hoping that we'll have full board support, because we know how much easier town meetings go with board support, especially with articles with multiple zeros after them. You will see that these are going to be substantial projects. We are looking at alternatives to the simple, obvious, which would be building a treatment facility, have different treatment techniques, or multiple treatment facilities at each of the wells to fit the new criteria. It seems like there's a goal, and every time the goal that we achieve is moved. The PFAS number that's in place, we had one exceedance. We came in at 21 parts per trillion. The maximum contaminant level was 20 parts per trillion. You exceed by 1 part per trillion, and now you're looking at spending $20 million on a treatment facility. Does it need to be put in place? Absolutely. But you would think there'd be a little bit of leniency there, with the discrepancy of how close the sample results were compared to what other communities had seen. So we worked with them. As we mentioned to you guys before, there were new requirements that were set in place from the EPA, bringing that number from 20 parts per trillion down to 4 with a goal of 0. The treatment process for a plant of 20 compared to a plant of 4 or 0 is completely different. You're doubling or tripling the numbers. So we're looking at what facilities will cost to build individual facilities meeting all these new criteria, possibly purchasing water long-term or short-term while these facilities are built and go online, and looking at new well sources in town. So there's a lot of moving parts all coming up with this ACO. The biggest thing to remember is that there will be deadlines in place and penalties should those deadlines not be met or met satisfactory, with standards moving along. So we do have Tara on, I believe she's still on, our water engineer, if you guys have any specific questions, but we are very, very early on into the stages of the investigation on this. We are really open to suggestions. I know Mr. Rich and I have talked about a few different things. That may be something that he and I speak of, again in the near future. But we're limited by what we have. We're limited on what we can do with the water, even when it comes out of the ground. And anytime you see a criteria that's not met, it's not that we're not doing our job or the technicians aren't doing their job. We're going within the exceedable limits. And the sample results are basically like a test. If you get a bad test, you retest, you figure out what went wrong, and make the corrections that way. So there's definitely a lot of changes that will be coming in the near future, all with expense.
Just a quick question, are other towns having the same issue that we're having here? And have you been in touch with those water superintendents to see what they're doing as well?
Each of them have their own different
Viewpoints?
sequences that they're going through. Some have already gone through the ACO process, some are in the middle of the ACO process. Basically what this does is DEP, in lack of better terms, they're giving this to us as a tool. Yes, it's a penalty. Yes, there are penalties involved if you don't follow suit with it, but with a tool in hand, when you go to town meeting, when you go to the boards and you're asking for exorbitant amounts of money to change your infrastructure that you currently have because things aren't working, it's almost a key that, it's kind of saying this has to be done. We have to find a way to do it. Unfortunately, if the water department can't fund some of these, we may be looking at some creative ideas of looking at other ways of additional funding from multiple sources. Because we're talking substantial stuff here, big changes that'll be coming, and obviously you can't live without water.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
And if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me directly, like myself, my email, always there. The ACO is very involved, very, very descriptive, and we can break it down and simplify things a little bit if you like that.
All right, thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Mike, what do we have next?
On the annual town meeting warrant, the Finance Committee, since you last met, took up 2 articles from the Planning Board. Article 3 on the warrant is recodification of the zoning bylaws. Maybe we want to address that one first.
I was gonna say, did we lose Paul? You just relocated.
Closer to the microphone. Get closer to the exit.
It's just no number.
Yeah. Chair, I don't have anything to present as you
That's
have a
fine.
public hearing, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? To me, this one's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah, I think we've already heard about it a couple times.
once or twice.
Mr. Chair,
And this is
I make a motion to recommend Article 3.
Second.
No, sorry. Yeah, Article 3, right?
Motion is
For
second.
the spring annual town meeting.
That was, you get that? That was Alec, yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
There was one other article, this is to create a zoning bylaw, multi-family mixed-use overlay district.
Here to answer any questions, and Ms. Parker is here as well. FinCom did vote in favor of this. I believe the vote was 7-3.
I tried the mics up, I don't think they're.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not you. We got it down. Okay. So FinCom voted 7-3, you said?
In support of, yes.
Any questions?
Just a comment, I had a chance to watch the planning board meeting was it last week? It's only been a week, right?
Yeah. Well, we've had one every the last 4 weeks, so.
Very well run meeting, and I want to say thank you to the town's people that came out and spoke about this article. It was great to hear different perspectives, and I appreciate their insights and thoughts.
Okay. Any other comments?
I spoke my piece last meeting.
So did I.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this quite a bit.
That's what I said last week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Steve?
Mr. Marson. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I thought you were a policy bouncer. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. Laura Parker, 4 Ellen Drive. Just for the sake of the record, I am also on the planning board. Just here to make one last-ditch effort. Whether to fight the state is a decision for the select board to decide. You voiced your decisions or your opinions on it. You've had ample opportunity to act on them. I think if it was a fight you thought that was worth having or that you could win, you probably would have filed suit against the state already. You know, I'm of the opinion pretty much every town's argument was rendered moot as soon as the state Supreme Court determined the act was constitutional. Of the towns that are left that are still fighting it, with the exception of Milton, who I think actually does have a case on how they were categorized, and I hear they're close to reaching a settlement, it's likely none of the other towns are going to prevail. The only ones winning here are the lawyers. I did watch the select board's meeting last week and did want to address some of the comments that were made. It was said that the planning board was given a mandate at fall town meeting and it wasn't followed. Obviously, I disagree. The two main takeaways that we got from fall town meeting were, one, you should listen to us, meaning the people, and two, don't put this on undeveloped land. So in December, we held a very widely advertised open house for the sole purpose of asking people where they wanted this overlay to be. And then we discussed the results in 3 open meetings before we even narrowed it down to 4 areas, all of which had some form of development on them. And then we discussed those areas in 3 more open meetings before voting on them specifically. The parcels chosen by the planning board were in the 2 areas that ranked the highest in our public open house exercise by a pretty wide margin. And in all of those meetings, not one person from any of the parcels that we ended up choosing showed up at any of our meetings to complain about the overlay being placed there. Every single one of them was noticed. Not a single complaint was registered. We chose parcels that where the impact would be neither 0% nor 100%. They all have development on them, the majority of which is already multifamily housing that, if redeveloped, could possibly produce more units than what presently exists. But it doesn't change what's already there. This was the best compromise between those on either side of the spectrum, being the people who don't want any new development at all and those who feel we need more housing. So this task called for a very sensible compromise, given the need that it needs to pass at town meeting. They may not be the parcels that you personally wanted, but it's what the majority of the people who took the time to weigh in wanted, and that's democracy in action. There's a very small group of people who have it in their head that snubbing their nose at the state and putting this in a place that's not likely to develop in the near term is the way to go. Setting aside the fact that it ignores the underlying issue that you have all, by either words or actions, admitted exists, I can tell you that that's exactly what got us here in the first place. There's not enough housing here in this state, particularly affordable housing. In part because there are towns who over the years have amended their zoning bylaws specifically to make sure that no multifamily housing could ever be built there. So 177 towns got slapped with the same law and a mandate to allow some arbitrary number of units regardless of how we currently treat multifamily housing. Is it fair? No. Does anybody like it? No. But we're charged with an exercise and we need to comply. I would like to point out that it was then said by a couple of different select board members, one, the parcels chosen all but guarantee that they will be developed. And the second one was Mansfield Ave could be built within the year, I guarantee it. Personally, I think it's silly to be worried about what could possibly be redeveloped.
So Laura, I don't want to cut you off, but we're not going to just, rehash everything that was said and
okay.
rebut every single comment.
I'm almost done, I swear.
So please
I
be
promise.
concise here.
It's okay. So I do want to bring attention to a comment that low-income housing, this was made by a select board member, low-income housing brings more children to schools comparatively, that's a fact. You know what else brings more children into the schools? 3-bedroom houses. More specifically, 74 3-bedroom duplexes built under a friendly 40B. And that is exactly what this select board voted unanimously in favor of last September on Newcomb Street. 37 duplexes, 74 units on 11 acres in R80 zoning where at most 5 single-family homes would have been allowed by right. And that developer intends to connect to existing sewer on Newland. In the meeting running up to this vote, Mr. Hornsby made the following declarations. I think this would be a great development for the town. And seeing it not go through.
Laura, I'm going to
would
ask
be
you
a-
to keep your comments to the article. Okay?
This is in regards to,
No,
okay,
this
so my
should be
question
about the
is,
article. So if you're done with your comments on the article, I'm going to ask the next person to come up.
so we seem to have conflicting opinions from the select board depending on who is asking us to build at a higher density than the current zoning allows. So I would like to better understand why you don't seem to be in favor of a hypothetical exercise that could create more affordable housing and may or may not result in more school-aged children, but could so easily and enthusiastically support an actual plan that's sold. Delineations are done, plans exist, engineering's done, could be built immediately. To support a plan that will generate more affordable housing and all but guarantee to produce school-aged children. Personally, I would just finally like to thank Mr. Marsan. He came to every single select board meeting we held on this topic. He did not say much, and on some nights I'm not going to argue that was really appreciated. He said last week he's not sure what's best for this town. I don't know whether he meant the parcels in particular or the state shoving it down our throats. But I can tell he's angry with the state for putting us in this situation and creating this friction. And so, wait, like I said, nobody wants this. So I'm not sure anything I've said here is going to sway Mr. Marsan to support this article, but he seems to be a reasonable man. But the fact that he did recognize that this article not passing would put the town in a worse spot than where we were before. So I do personally want to thank him for listening. And I'm going to make one last appeal to support this so we can move forward and be done with it. It's not going away no matter how much we wanted to, and we can't afford to fight it. We put forth a good and sensible compromise to bring to town meeting, and I'm just asking you to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Through you, Chair.
Yep, go ahead.
Just one other thing. I looked up the master plan before this meeting. I just wanted to see if we addressed housing, which of course we did. The master plan was approved by the town. Goal number 2, specifically goal 2.2, was to build a range. Oops, sorry. Let me make the font bigger. Build a range of market rate housing to meet the demands of young families, the senior population, and first-time home buyers. Priority high. So I just wanted to bring that up and raise that.
Go ahead.
Mark Sweeney, 14 Laurel Lane. I'd like to thank the comments from the latest speaker from Chapa, Ms. Parker. We're going to cut right to the chase. If we bring it in, their kids are going to follow. We already have a problem. We're so early in the budgeting right now, we're 1.8 million in the hole so far, correct? Right there. So down the road, we're going to bring in a lot of kids. Fire services to these locations, traffic, just everything basically. So the idea is that we're supposed to bend over? No. Rob Welch's idea to basically put it at Red Mill was a good idea. We can meet the letter of the law, maybe not the spirit like Chapel wants, but we can meet the letter of the law and check it off. We won't have to do anything as far as legal actions. So if we put it over Red Mill, there's going to be no issue later on. They're not going to tear down those beautiful 153
So
townhouses.
again, not to interrupt, but we're going to keep it to the article.
Okay.
Right, so.
So I'm going to hope that you vote against the article. You know it's going to go down at town hall, a town meeting, but just be right there. Mr. Marsan, I think she's trying to, she's identifying you as the swing voter here. I would think that you know what's right and that you vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. And just to add a comment, I think everybody on this board, regardless of our opinions, are all reasonable people. I don't think Roger's the only one, sorry, Roger. I think
Well, thank you.
we've disagreed on many things, and I certainly consider Kevin a very reasonable person, even though we disagree on a lot.
Yeah, you're saying that now because I'm leaving.
You know what, I would have said this day one, honestly. Okay, so we ready for a vote?
Sure.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marcian?
I make a motion that we
Marcian being the positive.
Yes.
recommend Article 17 to the town meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Or- So 3 against.
Can I, it was 3-2 against.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anything else, Mike? I think as far as the budget, this is the first we've seen of it. And again, this is not what I wanted to do. I wanted us to see it before FinCom last year and again this year. But I think we all need time to look at it and just look at the binder. So unless anybody here wants to go through it tonight.
No, I'm not ready to go through it tonight, but just a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
Mike, this top sheet here, I see that you've spelled out, you know, which groups get what and where money's coming from and all of that, but what is needed for level funding, level services? No layoffs, no,
I'll get that to you, that what people requested for their level
Did
service.
FinCom get that on Monday?
No.
and then also on the head counts, it might be in these sheets here that I was just about to go through, but I just want to understand head counts, what they are this year,
Yeah.
and what they will be under this proposed budget. For each department.
So is there anything anybody would like to see for our next meeting on this? Denise laid out a few things. So.
Definitely what Denise said.
Yeah, I agree with Denise too. Okay. Are there any other articles in this units that you'd like us to consider? Okay. And now we're on to the town manager's report.
So they're moving along on the project. You can see they're putting up the brick face on the building now and finishing off the curbing out front, blocking off the old entrance to the parking area. So the site work is ongoing. The new curbing is 95% complete. Paving at the fire station is scheduled for April 21st, and the concrete sidewalks on April 25th. The final paving is scheduled for May 16th with line striping on May 30th.
Mike,
Yep.
on that, do you think we could talk to the contractor and maybe next week just have him move the fence on this side back so we could use the parking spaces along there for loading?
Yeah, Tuesday, we did talk about that. That will be moved, and most of that parking lot will be cleared out and should be available for that day.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the town hall? Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, is there a active punch list?
For the town hall?
For both of them, actually.
Well, for the town hall, on the punch list, repaint the crosswalks, that'll be done in May. Some areas need some seeding and touch-up on the outside. One damaged window that we're waiting for the company to work on that. And there's some couple screw heads showing in one of the offices that they're gonna work on, and still going around to make the final list.
What about the AV equipment for town hall?
So the AV equipment, we're still waiting for the delivery of the equipment. They did deliver and install equipment at the senior center. The digital signs are on order, so they'll be coming.
All right.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mike, are they going to mount that vote drop-off box, the mailbox that's out front, so it doesn't have a bike train around it?
Jared's gonna do that when they're done.
Can we do something with the bike lockups or behind the trash barrel for some reason? So if you put your bike there, you gotta put it on the grass and walk it up next to the barrel.
I'll look at that.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's very silly looking.
Mike, if you would mention also this concrete walk is not accepted, that's going to be redone.
Right, concrete patio.
Don't correct.
Still working on a solution for that.
So I want to go through the senior center stuff too, but can we, for our next meeting, get a list of the punch list items in our packet? So we know. I want to have that as a standing item as well so we can keep track of what's going on. Because I personally get questions almost every week on that, on what's going on. Do you have a list for the senior center too?
So the punch list at the senior center is reseeding the lawn areas. There's some damaged window screens that they're waiting for our Quaker window to repair. Sealants on the sidewalk scheduled in May when the temperatures are better. And there's some touch-up to be done on the kitchen cabinets. That's the, as I said, the audio-visual stuff was put in this week. Ray is still working on some issues with that.
All right, I have a list because I went through the senior center with some of them. There's some shingles buckled that was noticed to you guys in January. So that should be something that's dealt with sooner than later.
I thought that was inspected and they said that there wasn't an issue with that, but...
They're still buckled, I think. I mean, there's some minor stuff that the handyman can fix, but one of the ones I was actually really concerned about was the gas fireplace. I guess when it's running, it gets the drywall above it extremely hot to the touch, almost burning your hand hot. So I'm concerned as a safety issue for that. So I think that should be looked at immediately. And the other item that is more of a capital item is the asphalt. Some of the asphalt is kind of raised up a little bit.
So that's listed as a warranty issue, the pavement heave at the front and side entries.
Yep.
Needs to be repaired.
Okay, so if we just get a list of these things, if we can get a list of these things with the next meeting as well, that'd be great. And just kind of updates. Who's handling these?
The OPM.
The OPM is? Okay. Through the building committee or through you or town hall or?
The OPM handles it and reports back to the building committee on it.
So who's bringing this to the OPM is what I'm asking.
The issues.
Yeah, so like the issues with the
If
senior
someone sees a punch list item, the OPM's right in our building here, they'll tell him.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, folks, on those as I take control of that? I'm sorry. All right. So select board's report and mail. Is there any mail before I get into what I'm going to say?
No, sir. I was just passing back down the mic.
That's okay. All right. So this isn't a select board report and mail per se, but I wanted to personally thank Kevin Snyder for 3 years of professionalism, and we've battled on items, and then gone and had a drink afterwards. So I think you've done a really good job on the board, and I'm sorry to see you go, honestly. And I thank you. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
One of those drink nights. Not tonight, but.
Tonight's the most appropriate night. Steve, if I could, Mr. Chair, I would like to, first of all, thank Steve and Alec and Roger and Denise, my fellow board members. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. I know when Steve and I first came on the board, there was a lot of tension on the board, and I feel like we've all done a really good job of working together, and even though we're disagreeing, keeping things always civil and always respectful, and have a lot of respect for all you guys. So I just wanted to, and gals. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to also thank Mr. Units for all of his help and all of his work. Always appreciated, and wish him the best in his retirement. Hopefully I'll see him one or two more times before that happens. Most of all, I wanted to thank Jen, who sits down there and takes the minutes and puts together, and all of Mike's staff that helps as well. But we see Jen here all the time, and she puts together all these books and answers our emails, and basically keeps things moving. And so I wanted to especially shout her out for the job that she does. So thank you, Jen. So thanks very much, and I think that's it for me. Signing off.
We appreciate it. And as we all know, there's an election coming up, and this could potentially be my last meeting too, so I'm not going to go through the thank yous, as I'm hoping to be back here, and I fully expect to be, but just in case, I do appreciate every single one of you on this board. Agree or disagree, I think we've all come together as I think we've been a great board, one of the best in quite a while, so I want to thank every single one of you, and Mike and Jen, everybody else. So I'm not going to continue, but thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
And if you don't like me on the board, you're going to hate me if I don't get on the board, because I'll be out here making your life hell. All right. I approve the warrants as written, and if there's anything else, we're going to do that. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Are we still doing the exec session?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to. Do you have the paper? Okay. I declare under General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, that the purpose of the executive session will be to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel, i.e. interim town manager, because the discussion of this strategy in open session could compromise the purpose of the executive session, and with the board not to return to open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mercy.
I move that the board go into executive session under General Law C-30A for the purposes and reasons declared by the chair, with the board not to return to open session thereafter.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Denise?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Alec?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you all very much.